got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computer Studio now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour, along with Gal.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Katie's away, Spencer's away, Nick is away. Everybody's busy, so you know who sticks with you, though. Our number is 919.
Just you and me, guy. Just you and me.
919-518-9773, Computer Studio Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Yeah, we were talking about changing times, and I don't know why we didn't do that to begin with. If we do it from 9 till 10 officially, we can always extend it after if there's more material to discuss. But the official is going to be 9 till 10.
I think
So,
that would be best.
what happened this week that sticks in your mind?
Let's see. I've been following an issue. I've been talking about BitWarden for a while, and there's been an issue for BitWarden's Firefox users, probably going on over a month now, and about to be finally put to rest. So BitWarden is supposed to be this tool, right, that is helpful by allowing you to log into all of your accounts because it remembers the username and passwords for you, right? A password vault.
Right.
Um, one of the facilities that does it with is by making sure that you only need to log in to it when let's put it this way. You need to log to it once, right? And you need to remember its master password. And it's supposed to be this very long and elaborate password because because that password is the seed that encrypts the entire vault. So the length is important. But it's also not necessarily a password you're going to enter a lot because it has facilities to help you that remembers that password for you on trusted devices. Okay, so on my cell phone, for example, I enter the password once, but after that, I log in with my thumbprint. Now, in order for my thumbprint to work, even after a reboot, right, there is some local storage being encrypted. And so after a reboot, my thumbprint should also still work and I wouldn't need to enter my long password. Okay, so that's just what a master password is and how that works.
Okay.
Firefox, there's been some sort of flaw, some sort of bug on the extension that whenever the vault locks, whenever there's some idle time, depends on how it's configured. Even if it says never lock, which is not recommended, but even that setting, it doesn't remember the encrypted storage keeping that master password goes away. And so, especially if you close the browser and open the browser, it'll ask you to log in with the master password. It might also be the default is 15 minutes, lock after 15 minutes. So that can be 15 minutes as well if that's the default. So it's been annoying the community of users. And there's been some drama in the GitHub thread because although this is an open source project, but there's a company behind it. They are selling their services. There's a premium version of BitWarden, and there's a lot of users who are actually not necessarily paying to BitWarden, but using alternative versions of the server. There's a project called VaultWarden, which provides a lightweight version of that server with all features switched on. So theoretically, you actually not theoretically, practically, people are running these servers, right, and getting all of the features that Bitwarden provides, but without any pay. So Bitwarden has a huge uh, crowd of users, right? Some of them, a small amount of them are paying, the others are not. This is bugging everybody, right? Because it's on the client side.
Hmm.
And so because of the visibility of this bug, because this is so annoying to end users, keep in mind this is only on Firefox, right? Which means a really diminished number of users compared to the other browsers. But still,
It's a problem,
yeah, it's a problem, and you see all type of end users in, in that thread. You see those who are demanding that
yeah.
things work, right? And you see those who are trying to calm down those,
Mhm.
telling them, take a look at how software is made, and issues can creep up. And there are those who are shaming those who are
Oh, jeez.
fans or trying to protect the integrity of the discussion. And it's social media in its best in a way, right? Because it's somehow synthesized by only the users of GitHub. So it's a certain type of people, although not necessarily all are in any way engineers or anything, but it's like it's a microcosmos. So just a single discussion that goes on for about uh, a month, like 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks now. Luckily, the solution has been fixed. The version that is next to be issued on the Firefox extension uh, uh, website, that will fix the issue permanently. But until then, we're on a waiting pattern, or you can go ahead and install an unsigned file if you know what that
Uh,
means, right? Um, so yeah, it's been going on. There's been some of these GitHub dramas that I've been exposed to in the past week or so, and it's a fun read, especially if you're a nerd like me. So yeah.
well,
Specifically in this one, I did not get involved. I saw that there's no reason. Uh, the developers, they got everything they needed whenever an attempt to fix it was posted. There was enough feedback way before I even had a chance to respond. So I'm just following that. Uh, in other places, I actually do get involved if it's very low volume of communication, and so when I butt in, it's meaningful, right? So I'm following some smaller
no,
projects, or smaller in audience. They're not necessarily smaller, but smaller in audience, and that works for me. Yeah.
all right. Um, I I sent you something this morning, but I didn't save it here. Something about the
Yeah,
uh,
Linux Foundation
yeah.
has created a new mailing list called the Siren, and it's a mailing list discussing vulnerabilities in open source software stacks. Uh, there are there are others. This one is focused on stuff that might rely on the Linux Foundation. Yeah, it's the open source foundation, I think, OSSF, right? Um, Open Source Software Foundation. And um, there is already another uh, very popular mailing list that tracks this, that has this. I think the difference here is just who's running the mailing list. One thing that is clear, a lot of eyes are on it. After a couple of days, it's just a couple of days since the announcement, there's already over 900 subscribers there. So there is interest in it. The idea is to be able to disseminate information about vulnerabilities in open source stacks. That means if I manage a package, some sort of package that is being relied on downstream. Uh, Downstream means anybody who uses the package. So if we're talking about Linux distributions, for example, Debian would be upstream to Ubuntu,
Mhm.
downstream to Debian, because Ubuntu, they build on the work that Debian has. There are some forks where Debian is continuing in a certain way and Ubuntu is taking another way, but there are packages that are being pushed by other communities as well into the Debian store, and so Ubuntu is downstream to that, and downstream to Ubuntu is um, Systems 76, for example, Pop OS, okay, and stuff like that. Red Hat, they are at the top with their Red Hat Linux, which downstream there are others like Fedora, right?
Mhm.
So, um, so it's all about open conversation about security vulnerabilities and how to mitigate them.
Good.
What's that?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting for those in the business. So let's say in your case, uh, I would say a good list for IT managers to track, not necessarily be involved, but to track.
Right, to track, to be
Uh,
to
yeah,
to to keep track of, to be aware of.
right. I am also guessing that media outlets as well as tech blogs will just follow those and
Hopefully.
report. Yeah, very similar to what we're doing today, right? When
Yeah.
we're reporting from Slashdot or something like that, um, then those will track it and report, and uh,
Yeah.
we could follow their suit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um, we keep on reminding everybody to be careful of phishing scams and phone scams. And a researcher has found a bug that allows anyone to impersonate Microsoft corporate email accounts, making phishing attempts look credible and more likely to trick their targets. As of this writing, the bug has not been patched. To demonstrate the bug, the researchers sent an email to TechCrunch that looked like it was sent from Microsoft account security team. Last
Ouch.
week, the guy also known online as Slonser, wrote on X that he found the email spoofing bug and reported it to Microsoft, but the company dismissed his report after saying it couldn't reproduce his findings. This prompted him to publicize the bug on X without providing technical details that would help others exploit it. Now, why is this important? When somebody is trying to figure out, I mean, you can put a message, you can put in the header of a message that you sent to somebody a different name. The email will stay the same, but in many programs you don't even see the email. You see it's from Joe Blow. You can put there whatever you want. that is not something that's being checked against anything. So the way to find out is to look at the headers and see where did it actually come from. And many customers that call, I take them through it and I say, here, look here, look here. What does it say here? What does it say there? This sounds like it'll do away with that. I mean, everything will look, I'm sure there is some line in the header that will actually give it in and you can find out, but your average user is not going to be able to find it or to understand it. That is bad. And that is an Outlook. Outlook is the one that's being used by the people that are trying to break into accounts because businesses use Outlook. Businesses don't use Gmail. Businesses don't use Hotmail. That most of them use Outlook. You're going to say something?
Um, did it say Outlook? It didn't say Outlook.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it says
No,
that.
Microsoft corporate account. This is Microsoft.com.
Oh,
So,
okay.
okay, they are.
Well,
This means, right, that whoever wants to send you some sort. First of all, we do not know if this is limited to Microsoft, right? But
no, he found out.
this,
Yeah,
yeah, but he's trying. He's trying to say he tried first of all to reach out to Microsoft,
right.
give them all of the technical details, and their only response was, "We cannot reproduce it,"
Mm-hmm.
right? Dismissing him.
Right.
And so, after a couple of times where he provided more and more information, including a video, uh, which is following the complete process, I don't think he divulged that video publicly, but following the complete process, then he just went to the world uh, with a screenshot showing that he was able to send something from security at Microsoft.com.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and uh, and that is what TechCrunch published there, right? So there is two phases here. One, he figured out a way, a technical way. He did not divulge it publicly, so he was sort of responsible. He didn't divulge the technical details. He did divulge that this exists after being dismissed. This is bad because if Microsoft is dismissing such evidence, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is not a feeling. This is not
It's not an I think so. It's a
exactly.
I know.
This is evidence. There are facts.
Yeah.
Fact, right? You're getting something. Explain what you understand instead of say I cannot reproduce it. And so it's bad. There's still no update as far
Right.
as I see.
So
And it seems like there are some basic DMARC settings on Microsoft.com or Outlook.com that are allowing this from the comment sections
mm-hmm.
on the account. But yeah, it's concerning. It's unclear how bad this is, but we'll see. I'm guessing this will be fixed fast because there has been the reason TechCrunch is reporting on it is because his post on Twitter got viral, right? And drew a lot of interest,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and so
My
that is bad.
It's bad. And here is the only thing that I can advise. A, Microsoft Security is not going to send you an email as an end user. They may communicate with big companies' IT departments, but not with you as an end user. So, first of all, if you see something like this, delete it. If it's important, they'll send it again. And those spammers don't send again. It's like a going out as a blast, and they don't care whether you got it or not, and that's it. It's a one-time thing. So that's your first line of defense is just delete it. If you suspect that it's something it's not right, delete it. You wouldn't lose anything. If it's somebody trying to send you something that's important, and I doubt it, then they'll send it again. So that's the only thing I can say to do. You shouldn't spend hours and hours trying to figure out if it's right or wrong, um, because chances are you will not be able to figure out unless you are really, really technical and understand how email works. So don't waste time. Delete it. I can figure it out, and if I don't see right off the bat something obvious, I delete emails like that and never hear from them again. That's all. All right, now Mike on the chat. Mike is Mike is the one that asked us last week about the AT&T modem with Spectrum.
Right.
So he said he substituted AT&T modem and router for Spectrum router. It did not work. Should I, at home, with no work affiliation, worry about security in my home security as a small fish, either than just using serious passwords? Well, Mike, I mean, you are a small fish just like I'm a small fish. Remember, these things they harvest email addresses from the internet, or they buy lists, and they don't know who they send it to. So you should always be vigilant about your security, because even if they figured out the security to the password to your internet connected refrigerator, and they turn the temperature up to 70 degrees, I mean, you're going to suffer from that. So you should really, uh, as a principle, you should always think, yeah, they're trying to get me. So think about it this way. And serious passwords is always a good thing. But as far as passwords, if you fall for an email scam, it is not has nothing to do with the password, because they're getting into your network right there.
Well,
Uh,
I think there's a bit more here.
of course there is. There's a
Let's
lot
not
more.
just call it security. Let's talk about the specifics, okay? So I think security is just too broad.
Too broad.
Okay, so what I mean is, here are the things that as a home user, right, you should be aware of. Okay,
Mhm.
one of the things is what it means to be connected to the internet. Okay, the moment any device is connected to the internet, it goes through a certain process to connect, right? And you're getting certain, other than the communications that you open in a web browser, there are certain connections that happen in the background that you need to be aware of. The
Right.
moment you are aware of these, then you can understand what type of security you need. And these are simple. One is who gives you your IP address, and two is what is exposed on that IP address. Okay, and three is where do you get IP addresses from? Because that all these three, that is what it means to be connected to the internet. And the moment you understand these three and you protect them properly, right, then step one of that security, keeping secure, you're in a better state. Others are, then we're talking about computer security, right? the antivirus backups, that type of stuff. And that you should practice regardless of whether you're connected to the internet or not. Okay. So let's focus on these three. You're getting your IP from your ISP. As long as you're using their equipment, right? Then you know exactly how that process works. You trust that box. And all you need to make sure is that box cannot be controlled by anyone else. So make sure that if it's exposed externally because you want to manage it remotely, that's a possibility. If you do not know what I'm talking about, then you probably never enabled it, and it's okay. Make sure that the password for that box is something that you know and it's something that you have control over and that it's complex enough not to be cracked. And the other part is, okay, so once you get an IP, how you're exposed, right? And that means is what is listening out from that. You can think of a router, a modem router, as the door to your house. Okay, is your door wide open or is it always closed and there's a key? You need to insert a key inside. That key, or whatever twist that key, are usually ports that are listening out. Okay. Um, Windows, for example, when it sits inside a network managed by a very simple router, knows how to request from the router, hey, router, I want to listen on a port, right? That's called UPnP. And trust me, this is the deepest level I'm going to go technically. I'm not going to go any technical than that. And so these ports, right, when they're listening out, you want to make sure that whatever is listening on them, it knows how to be safe about it. That's why your Windows machine has a built-in firewall as well. There's one on the level of the router, which I would say, most homes do not necessarily need to even enable, okay? Because most, by default, these routers, they do not listen to the outside world in any way. There is a firewall, it's on by default, and all it does, it's something called NAT. It's something called a network address translation that allows your internal network to have some sort of address space that is internal and it's separate from the external world. And so listening to things inside your network is open uh, and it can be considered safe enough, even though it's not secured within the network.
Mm-hmm.
But it silos, it creates a complete separation between your internal network and the external one, one that is enough just to be, just like when we close our windows and doors, right? I mean, anybody can go through a window if they want to. They can break it, right?
Sure.
But most that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because of a myriad of reasons, right? And and not just social norms. There's usually easier prey to pick on, and so that's the same thing with routers, right? So just understand that your router is first line of defense, sort of, right? And the second line of defense is your OS, which is built-in firewall. And if you're running Windows or Mac, then usually that is completely automated, and you're rather safe, right? And on that term, you're okay. Make sure that you manage your usernames and password properly, and so any layman, any person not versed in the technical details of computer security, you're pretty much okay. We're not in the 90s where everything was vulnerable and open, right? We're not in the 2000s where everything has been with the same default password on all of the devices, right? We're in a better state today than we were previously. Probably we're even better in a better state where we were 5 years ago. So um,
We learned.
should you be concerned? Uh, Always try to educate yourself, but know that the default the way the ISPs, the way the OS is designed, uh, the way your DNS by default today works is rather secure. And as long as you do not do anything really stupid, uh, and that means setting admin as a username password on something exposed externally, right? Or uh, just using default password for devices that are connecting outside that you can access with an app on your phone, for example, right? Stuff like that. Make sure you have complex username and passwords. Use a password vault of some sort, even if it asks you for a long password every once in a while. Uh, that is a much better situation than you would have been in any time in the past. Um, one thing to note, like something that is current and happening right now, and is this mass adoption of passkeys. That is a good thing. The technology behind it is quite solid, even though it is a bit new. The especially the implementations, the technology is solid, and the adoption of it is much more secure than just using passwords. So definitely, if you're prompted to save a new passkey and you have the ability to do that, I would recommend go ahead with that. On Windows, the way you set it up is you just need to be able to log in with a PIN code. If you have there are something called Windows Hello enabled cameras. Those are cameras, USB cameras that have a depth sensor. I think that depth sensor is based on infrared, but I'm not completely sure
Yeah,
about
I'm
how
not
that
either.
works. But so they're a regular webcam, just like the one I'm talking to through right now. But they also have an additional sensor that detects whether whoever is in front of the camera, if if it's a flat image like a photo or an actual person
A real
with
person.
settings, right? And so the combination of those two sensors, then you can have your image just by sitting down next to your computer. You can have the computer unlock, uh, and that in turn can encrypt a security key. Uh, Remember all of the talk we had in the past about TPM 2.0 and all that? Those are encryption mechanisms embedded in your motherboard that allow such interaction with something like a USB camera that does its work properly, uh, and the board to create encryption keys that will keep your these key passes, these secrets safe on your computer, and only while you're logged in, it can use these in interaction with other websites, right? And so a website will say, hey, like Google, you logged in with your username password and says, hey, do you want to sign up? Do you want to set up a passkey on this machine? And you can say yes, and it'll prompt you either to show your face or enter a pin code that you've set up for your system. And the next time you log in to Google, you can say login with a passkey, and what it'll do, it'll ask your OS. It says, "Hey, I'm Google and I'm trying to connect Gmail. Do you have a passkey for Gmail?" And you will be presented by Windows for a list of the accounts that you have passkeys for, right? With that website. So let's say you have 5 accounts logged in at different times um, with Gmail. Those will be separate passkeys, right? And you can say, yeah, this is me. And the system will just ask you to identify yourself either by the image or a thumbprint or um, a pin code, and it'll log into to Google. The process is so much smoother for you to work with as a human, right? It makes things easier. Everything is encrypted and saved locally. So if you want to up your game security wise, make sure your Windows OS 11 has Windows Hello capabilities, like the pin code being set up, and start using it as your passkey manager. Note that for Windows specifically, right, that is contained within Windows. There are ways of disseminating this securely across mobile devices and other devices as well. And then you can use these passkeys in other locations. But that requires a bit of research, running, trusting of password vault, for example, that supports it. But if you want to up your game, look into passkeys.
Good, 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 good advice. So yeah, Mike, I hope you're going to be able to accomplish some of that stuff and feel a little bit better about your experience on the net. Just remember, be vigilant and don't trust
Don't
every source out there.
exactly. Security is all
All right.
about trust.
Yep.
Always. Like computer security is all about trust. So understand what you're trusting. Right now, you can pretty much trust that the design of your router is okay. And you can pretty much trust that the design of your OS is okay. Of course, there are exceptions. And from time to time, we hear about vulnerabilities that have been discovered. That is probably the other part that you have to do is just stay vigilant to these notifications. And whenever you hear about them, just check that you are no longer vulnerable. Usually you will not be, especially if you update your OS on a regular schedule, right? And you do not delay updates.
Yep. And if you're not sure, ask. Ask somebody that you trust. All right. The other thing that Mike was asking is where is it? He said, should I use only brand name cartridges for my HP printer or can I refill them? If you're talking about inkjet, they come out with all kind of. I don't keep up with that. It used to be. I used to do that with Nabil over at the fairgrounds, and we always had ways to get around what HP is doing. I don't know how they are protecting it now, but if you're talking about a laser printer, you can buy compatible cartridges with no problem.
It all depends on how much you're printing.
That
And the
too,
reason I'm
yes.
saying that
Yeah.
is if you are and the rate eventually it boils down to the rate you are replacing cartridges. And the reason I'm saying that is I've been using, I mean, at the beginning I looked at it and something felt fishy, but eventually after using it I'm using it probably for now 2 years, I think it paid for itself on my end. I am using HP's subscription service. The it needs a compatible HP printer because it calls home to HP. They collect user stats basically on how much printers are being used and all that. And in turn, they give you cartridges, their cartridges that are signed in some way through the machine over the internet, and they monitor the usage. I actually got they sent you like a box like this uh, 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 in the mail. This one I got a couple of weeks ago, and I think I threw the note, but basically it says your ink. This is a black cartridge ink, which is the one that probably is the most used color anyway. And what happens is I pay a small sum every month, and when the cartridges are done, they're sending a replacement. When they're close to done, they're sending a replacement. I replace it and I send them the used cartridge for recycling on their end. So they take care of the recycling, and by being and I'm allowed to print.
So
I don't
many.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tiers,
Yeah.
and I'm at the second tier, I think, because the first tier we did see that we are overusing, and so I moved to the second tier. I am paying $5 a month or $4 a month, four plus tax, something like that. And that 4 plus tax overall covers me on all of the cartridges, right? So any of them, it doesn't matter if they all get depleted or just one of them get depleted. They're sending me them as I need. And overall, buying original cartridges would be more
A
expensive.
lot more.
Buying alternative ones, right, or filling them up myself might be cheaper. But for this fee, I also get complete coverage on the printer because the printer's warranty basically is extended by this use. So if you're not a heavy user,
Mike is
right?
saying he's using a few pages a week. Very low.
Yeah, then I think this might be of interest to you. Look at the math, do the math, right? And the subscription service is actually very decent. I think out of everything that HP has done across the years, especially fighting users in the way they sold their cartridges and locked their system with their cartridges and all that, this is the only one that I would say that they did well. Uh,
It
I do
sounds
not.
great.
Yeah, it is. It's simple,
Yeah.
right? And if the math works, definitely make sure the math works because it does mean you're going to pay right out of pocket every month, whether you print it or not, um, a few dollars. Make sure that you're in the right tier, right, that covers you, and make sure that that math works. By the way, they have also, if you didn't use all of the pages, I think there's like an accrual that goes for a month or two. So I have enough always to print whatever I need.
Good.
Mati used to print a lot. Now she prints a lot less because there's no kindergarten like activity that she prints for. But it works out, and
And
so
you can change the subscription mid
the
use.
moment you stop the subscription,
No, not
I
stop.
think you
I'm
need.
not talking stop. I mean, let's say right now you have the one like what you have, and suddenly you decide, you know what, I'm not using that much. Hey, HP,
Oh yes,
lower
yes,
it
that's
to
possible. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's possible. Changing the subscription is rather easy. Even canceling the subscription is easy. The problem with canceling the subscription is that the cartridges are supposed to stop working or something, right? Because of the way they did the subscription. So you need to switch the cartridges to regular cartridges and not these subscription based
Okay,
cartridges. Um, is that okay? I don't think so, but I also see why they did it because if you stop the
sure.
subscription,
Yeah,
right, and then you print whatever, and then you start subscription again, right, then they lost on you.
right.
So I understand why they did it. It's a bit of a bummer, but at least they did it so you cannot sting them, right? Um, but overall, it's a decent subscription. So if you are questioning whether this works out for you, when I bought this printer, I first used whatever was in the printer until depletion. Then I subscribed to the service, and it worked out for me.
I mean, I'm looking at it this way: $4 a month.
Yeah, I started
That's
at the
that's
three or
for
two
yeah,
fifty or something, but yeah,
that's $48 a year. A
exactly. And
cartridge
an original cartridge costs that much,
that
and we're
much, if
talking about
not more.
four. We're
Right,
talking about a set, right?
right.
That cost a
So
hundred and something. So
yeah,
that's my math, and
yeah.
and yes, and it includes a warranty. Keep that in mind as well, right? HP says, "Hey, we're covering your printer. We'll make sure that your printer always works."
That
So yeah,
that sure sounds
so
like they did something right. Absolutely, I
yeah.
agree with you. Yep. All right, Mike. On we go.
Check the small print. Make sure that the math works.
Yep.
Maybe that's the solution for you.
Yep. All right. A free and open source chat GPT clone named LibreChat is
Yeah.
also, you know about it?
It's been around.
Letting its users choose which AI model to use to harness the capability of cutting edge language models from multiple providers in the unified interface. This means LibreChat includes OpenAI models, but also others, both open source and closed source. And its website promises seamless integration with AI services from OpenAI, Azure, Anthropic, and Google, as well as GPT-4, Gemini Vision, and many others. Every AI in one place, explains LibreChat homepage. Plugins even let you make requests to DALL-E or Stable Diffusion for image generation. And LibreChat also offers a database that tracks conversation state, making it possible to switch to a different AI model in mid-conversation. That I don't know how they can do that, but they're not doing anything to. They're not selling or giving you a OpenAI under their name. They're just probably providing links and
So
connections to that.
it looks like, yeah, they're using different APIs.
Yeah,
So
right.
they're just a front end. No, so first of all, it's not that they've been around. They might be a lot younger than what. There's something called LibreChat. That's IRC stuff. This is LibreChat
LibreChat,
with an
yeah.
E. Yeah.
It's
So
like the
if you're
LibreOffice.
looking for it,
Yeah.
yeah. AI model selection. I'm trying to understand whether they have anything local.
Whether they
Remote and local AI services. So they look like, so the UI that they expose looks like a chat GPT sort of interface.
Mhm.
And they allow switching stuff in the back with details on how to install everything. It looks like an interesting project. I do not know its impact at this point.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, I thought
yeah.
it was new, but it's neat.
Well, it already has 2,000 commits,
Oh,
so it's very active. That's for sure.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to see if I can figure out when it started.
Well, if it was in the news, I believe that it was pretty recent, or they just pretty recent became public kind of about it. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, they started around almost a year ago. That's when they started. They had a huge peak around April 2013, a huge peak of interest.
2023, I
And
mean.
since 2023, yeah. And since then they've been active, very
Yep.
active. So
Something got him into the news last week. I don't know what they did, but
probably a new release.
yeah. So it's take a look at it if you're into that, and it's free.
Indeed. For now, yeah,
Yep.
definitely. It's in pre-release state, and so, but definitely, yeah.
If anybody is out there to get a new computer, there is another computer got in. Microsoft launched its range of Copilot Plus PCs earlier last week. And they all come equipped with a new dedicated Copilot key on the keyboard. It's the first big change to Windows keyboard in 30 years. But all the key does now is launch a progressive web app, PWA, versions of Copilot. The web app doesn't even integrate into Windows anymore like the previous Copilot experience did since last year. So you can't use Copilot to control Windows 11 settings or have it docked as a sidebar anymore. It's literally just a PWA. Microsoft has even removed the keyboard shortcut to Copilot on these new Copilot Plus PCs, so Win key in C does nothing. I did read something later on in the day, and they said that they fixed that with the Win key. But this is another another player that is in there. I don't know what they're trying to do here now. Microsoft is trying to get into the uh, PC business again. We'll have to wait and see.
Um, I don't. This feels like Windows 8. This feels like Windows Vista. They are jumping the gun on something they do not have a good grasp on, and they're trying to market it as something big when it is either inconsequential or annoying. Okay. So it really feels that way. I mean, I hope for them that I'm wrong, and this would be something big that I'm completely missing. For right now, this feels like Windows 8. This is like a shot.
Yeah, but
the
reason,
very long shot in the wrong direction.
The reason I'm bringing it up here is because it is something new, and you don't know that in a year this PC is going to be supported. Hopefully, it's a standard PC just with a different keyboard. I don't know, but you don't want to get.
It's not. I did not understand that this is Microsoft products.
These
is. Are no, it's like the stamp of support built for Microsoft. So let's say HP is making them, or somebody, everybody's making them, and what's different is there's another keyboard, another key, right? Because they pushed that Windows key into keyboards that was not there before, right?
Yeah.
They didn't manufacture any hardware at that time. I don't even think they made keyboards at that time. So
this
is just about right. This is just about they're introducing this new key to a feature that they haven't really thought through yet. Right? They're not sure how this is going to play. The fact that the article insists this is just a WPA, it's basically a shortcut. It's not any different than the play key on the media keyboard, right?
Right.
It's a shortcut to something.
Yeah.
Right. And it just launches that something exactly the same way. So this is just a very simple maybe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll have to wait and see. You just need to be aware that
don't make your purchasing decisions based on that. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, listen to this. A French court has ordered Google, Cloudflare, and Cisco to poison their DNS resolvers to prevent circumvention of blocking measures, targeting around 117 pirate sports streaming domains. The move is another anti-piracy escalation for broadcaster Canal Plus, which also has permission to completely re-index the sites from search engine results. Two decisions were handed down by the Paris Judicial Court last month, one concerning Premier League matches, and the other the Champions League. The orders instruct Google, Cloudflare, and Cisco to implement measures similar to those in place at local ISPs to protect the rights of Canal Plus. The companies must prevent French internet users from using their services to access around 117 pirate domains. So now they want them to change. And now the courts are telling those guys what to do with their DNS.
So the courts were already doing that with local ISPs, which they have jurisdiction over.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah, if they
What
have.
they're trying to do now, I'm guessing they might even be able to do it, is they're trying to tell the DNS providers that are currently used by all of these pirating sites. So remember the three things I said you were exposing when you're connecting to the internet, and you need
Right.
to take care
Yeah.
of, right? So one of them is who you're getting your addresses from, right? The DNS.
Right.
How's the DNS set up? By default, you get it from your ISP, the same entity that gives you your IP address. And it doesn't necessarily need to be that. It can be any, and there is like a sort
Uh,
of consensus that using external DNSs by large entities is the better choice here.
mm-hmm.
Okay, those are Cloudflare, Google, and you said Cisco.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
Cisco is probably on the enterprise side. Google and Cloudflare, while they are enterprise side as well, they're very popular with the user community. Right?
With users.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm
yeah.
using Cloudflare too.
By the way, Google is 8.8.8.8.
Right.
So if you've seen that number somewhere, you'll know. And Cloudflare is
One that. Yep.
1.1.1.1, right? So there's also a reason why they're very popular. They're very easy to remember. And uh, if you're troubleshooting something and you want over the phone, you don't need to remember a very elaborate set of numbers. There is another popular one from the past, which is FreeDNS, right? But FreeDNS is actually a random IP number that is hard to remember, right? Or a long number.
Right.
So
yeah.
The French court is trying to help canal the channel there, right? And they're saying DNS needs to block this as well, as the same way that we have instructed local ISPs to do that. Google has agreed to comply. So
they will. You know.
Yeah. So it's the first time where pirates, right, cannot rely on that workaround,
Mm-hmm.
which was the go ahead. Today, what happens is um, you're a Spectrum user, right, and you're getting your DNS settings from Spectrum, and not using 1.1.1 or 8.8.8. Then when you go to some sort of blacklisted site, instead of the site, you get a page saying, "Hey, yeah, you shouldn't be here. This is dark. This is a dark alley," right? It'll say something like by the order of the FBI, or it'll say something.
It'll say something.
Some legalese that says this has been blocked, right? And the choice of the people no longer matters here, and this is interesting.
No, that's the thing. It's
I wonder.
It's evolving.
Yeah, I wonder
if
this is going to be regional. So while this is the French courts, right?
Mhm.
So will this only be blocked by IPs originating from France doing DNS queries to Google, right? And Google saying, okay, you're French, you're getting these answers. And you're not from France, you're getting these answers. Right? I wonder if they're going to do it that way. That's similar to remember when we talked about the legislation in some states, anti-porn legislation?
Right. Yeah.
And so major porn sites started reacting to that by just blocking the users from these states and telling them. So there's two variations. One is just blocking them and saying, go talk with your congressman. And the other one is just blocking them and asking them to validate their identity with a credit card, right?
Yeah, their age.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is going to be something like this. If you come from a specific region of the world, it'll be blocked. If not, then it'll be open. And so VPNs, this is just going to strengthen some VPN suppliers. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the same, for pirates, a federal jury in Las Vegas has convicted 5 men for operating Jetflix, one of the largest illegal streaming services in the U.S. The Justice Department announced Thursday. The service, which charged $9.99 a month, allegedly hosted over 183,000 TV episodes, surpassing legitimate streaming platforms. Prosecutors said the operation caused substantial harm to copyright owners. The defendants face up to 48 years in prison for conspiracy to commit criminal copyright infringement and related charges. Sentencing dates are pending. I I never heard about Jetflix. Did you hear about Jetflix?
No, but
Uh,
you have heard about services like
yeah,
this, right?
right.
So yeah,
It's
the
interesting.
fact that they say it is the largest, I mean, it's interesting. Maybe it's the largest in Las Vegas. Maybe it's the largest in California, right?
Who
Um,
knows?
but it's a blow to piracy for sure. Um, it's interesting. It's also interesting that what did it say? How much was the fee?
$9.99 a month.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that they could, right, for $9.99 a month, they could provide with a lot more content, right,
Then
than legitimate services.
yep.
Uh, uh, and note, they're not talking about uh, uh, like they're talking about if you take all of these legitimate content services together, right? They're not talking about half, talking about a fraction,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think it's interesting on both ends. It's interesting about how they were able uh, to run the service. An article I'm seeing here, they run it probably since 2007. Okay, so for a long time, probably also making a profit. So
Absolutely.
I understand that copyright infringement happened, right? But we also need to look at how copyright is being
Implemented.
peddled, is being marketed, right? And maybe there are things that can go much more reasonable.
Yeah.
Remember, we're
And they
talking
should.
about entertainment. We're not talking about any um, substantial life support,
Right.
right? So, uh,
Right.
things I think something like this puts things into
Perspective.
perspective,
But
but I am also guessing these five guys, I think they should have known better not to grow that big.
yes.
uh when you're doing something illicit, you shouldn't be greedy. So yeah, it's dangerous.
All right. Well,
I think that's it for the day, no?
that's it for today. Um, those of you that were not here earlier, we said that we're going to start doing the show officially from 9 till 10. And if there's more to discuss or whatever, yeah, we can go over, but we'll do it for an hour. We don't need to spread it real thin over 2 hours. So, Gal, thank you.
Yes.
And
And let's thank Mike. Mike
oh
was
yeah, Mike, your
very
questions
active today.
are
Thank you.
right, right. They are very, very legitimate questions that open the door for a lot of users to understand what's going on. Very good. I'm glad you figured out how to listen to us on the web. All right. So, good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dana, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for turning to Computers Talking Out. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And remember to change any same password where you use them. Also, implement the 3-2-1 backup strategy. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily political commentary show. You can listen to it live if you tell your Echo device to play 980 The Wave, or you can go to the recordings later on at nickcraig.com. And Tuesday, well, not Tuesday, they changed that. 7 p.m. during the week, Nick and Brian also do the Infection Podcast on Twitch. So you need to go to infectionpodcast.com and find out when it is going to be at any given week. Or you can go later on again to infectionpodcast.com and get the podcast, the recorded version, and listen to it. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll be back together next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.